What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Ventures, July 30th, 2019. I hope you're doing well. That was kind of a dramatic intro, but it's 5 days away. Finally, all the talk, all the chatter, Litecoin halving 5 days away. I'm just going to say this. There's so much hype leading down to the day of, and nothing's probably going to happen. There's a lot of good context around like the long term, leading up to the halving, not just for Litecoin, but Bitcoin, and then after the halving, right? In regards to supply shock and things of that nature, these things that truly have an influence on price, but it's long term. It's on the zoomed out charts why we're seeing moves. Anything else, leading into the halving is probably just coincidental in terms of any volatility we might see in the next week. So let's dig into the charts and talk about what I'm saying right now. So weekly chart, first off, this is probably one of the most beautiful things to see because, tracking Litecoin through the bear market, first off, it's awesome to see us just hit that bottom back in December. And we've seen like 500% gains plus since then. Now, when we were seeing those gains, we started talking about, this is the longer term talking point that I was saying earlier, which is this is where Bitcoin and Litecoin have influence on price, because there's a lot of hype going into the halvings. Now, a lot of this overbought that we've got in Litecoin, partly because of the cycles of Bitcoin and Litecoin, but also because of halving coming up, right? So same thing happened in 2015 leading into that halving, right? 700% gains and then 70% consolidation leading into the halving. So longer term, there's definitely a picture being painted by these halvings, but shorter term, not as much. Now, weekly chart is so beautiful because we had almost exact resistance on the RSI, this momentum oscillator here, as we did at the 700% swing high gains leading into that last halving. And then we saw consolidation, and then we had consolidation almost identically down to the 45-ish area on the RSI, very similar to where Litecoin is seeing consolidation right now on the RSI. It's so healthy looking, and it's really exciting because we kind of talked about something like this happening leading into this, right? We talked about potential resistance at this overbought area where we saw in 2015 resistance on the RSI. And then from there, we talked about consolidation after that resistance coming back down. Now, after that consolidation, hypothetically, speculatively speaking, we started having some fun with the charts in terms of, well, here's 2015 consolidation from 700% swing highs here. And we kind of fell into like this bullish continuation pattern that you see on the screen, but it took a while to play out. So for me, I've been just having some fun looking at the charts, wondering what's here? What is all in this empty area? And is it going to be a similar bullish continuation pattern from this swing low, right, that we had in December? And are we going to have kind of maybe a continuation symmetrical triangle that we're going to break out of eventually, right? Or is it going to be a falling wedge? Or do we still have to hit $50 right now to get a swing low to create a falling wedge, another bullish pattern for Litecoin to break out eventually, maybe in fall, winter, right? Those things excite me. And they also keep my mind in check in terms of accumulation, because there's always the bottom trend line, right? There's always potential for further downside, further swing lows. And that's where accumulation is fun for me. Now, if we really are comparing the 2015 halving, check this out. After Litecoin in 2015 saw those 700% gains, we came back down, we consolidated right to the 200 moving average on the daily chart. And that was like Litecoin's cool off area. And similarly, prior to this halving, Litecoin 500% gains or so right here consolidated right down to the 200 moving average on the daily chart. So similar. It's unreal. Now, at the same time we consolidated, you can see the RSI right here dipped below the 40 line in 2015. And you can see over here, consolidated to 200 moving average, dipped below the 40 line on the RSI right down here. Now, in the grand scheme of things, in a bull market, in a bullish kind of crypto market, I guess you could say, historically, and you can just look at the charts on the daily chart, Bitcoin, Litecoin, above the 40 line, on the RSI, bullish, right? And then support at the 40 line. If it's spending a lot of time below the 40 line, like you can see in this last bear market, it's pretty much a show of a bear market, right? And that's kind of a line that I use a lot on this channel for the long-term zoomed out charts to get an idea of, well, how's the market looking? What's support looking like for that market, right? And I keep hitting my microphone. So for Litecoin, what's good is we dipped down below the 40 line, but we got a quick bounce right back above it. And right now we're hanging right around the 40 line on the RSI on the daily chart. It's a very important area to watch right now for Litecoin. What is good is on the weekly chart, just really zoomed out, the stock RSI, this quicker moving momentum oscillator right now in the oversold area, right? So not only did we cool down on the weekly RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator, where if you're gonna buy Litecoin, you really want it to be kind of in this middle zone, even in the oversold area, right? That's why bear market was just such a good area to buy Litecoin. But it gets very risky when you're beginning to buy in this overbought area on the weekly RSI. It's just like a giveaway, right? Bitcoin, Litecoin, any crypto. If you're on the weekly RSI and you're in overbought, you better be careful because there's probably a large correction coming. So right now it's nice to see Litecoin is in a area where maybe it's not as soon as everybody hopes, but it's in an area where even if we have some sideways consolidation, there's a ton of room for upside for Litecoin, right, on the momentum oscillators. And that could be kind of a swing high scenario, maybe the end of summer, maybe the beginning of fall, right, where we're seeing potentially the 150s, the 200s. But I think what's important to note, especially if we zoom out on the charts and we look at the last Litecoin halving, patience historically has probably been your best strength in these markets, because you can see there's a lot of volatility for months after that last Litecoin halving, right? There's a ton of upside and then there's a ton of downside, and then the bull market ensued eventually. I'm not saying it's going to take that long this time around. I don't think it will, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer for a bull market to truly ensue, to truly arrive. And, in the meantime, what I'll be doing is kind of just trying to find that next mid to long-term bullish pattern on the daily chart for Litecoin. Where is it? Is it a falling wedge? We're going to get continued support above this 200 moving average, kind of maybe create a series of higher lows and then lower highs, giving us a symmetrical triangle. I don't know, but it's kind of why I enjoy doing technical analysis. It's one of the reasons I started this channel. Those are my thoughts on Litecoin going into the halving. Nothing crazy, just watching it. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll do another video eventually, kind of digging into the 4-hour chart a little bit. You have the 4-hour chart here. It's hard for me to look at the 4-hour chart when the halving is coming up, and there's so much more valuable information, in my opinion, on the daily and the weekly if you're here long term. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you coming by. If you're here and you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you as part of the channel. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, and God bless.